Hey guys, welcome back to 1776 or Bust. So today we're going to change things a little bit on the channel. I'm actually going to be showing a little bit more of this ugly face as an intro and then get to the real pretty stuff like, guns. The 1911. This was a gun that I never really thought I'd ever want to own. It was not anything that I was technically even on my radar, so to speak, to pick up. I had reached out to Rock Island Armory. They put me in contact with one of their people, and he hooked me up with one of these. And this is obviously their commander, one of their commanders. It's Ultra TAC, and it's a compact 1911. Now, there's a lot of great things about this gun that I found today, especially shooting it, but there are some things that I'm still kind of iffy on. Now, I'm not here to bash 1911s. There are some people who absolutely love them. It's just not my cup of tea. There are certain guns that I like and certain guns that I don't. Well, I would say that it's not that I don't like the gun. I just don't really find a purpose to own a gun like this for me. Now, again, that's going to, get people up in arms and get their panties in a bunch. But you know what? That's the way it is. Some people like certain platforms of guns. Some people don't. And the 1911 has just never really appealed to me. And even after today, the question would be, does it appeal to me now after putting 250 rounds down range, if I could say it? And the answer to that question is no. I still personally would not go out and buy a 1911. Now, if Rock Island Armory said, hey, you know what, you did a great job on the review, why don't you just keep it? I would be, okay, awesome, I'll keep it. But for me personally, I don't really see myself adding a 1911 to the collection anytime soon. Now, of course, why? Did it shoot horribly? No, it's actually a very nice shooter. The weight of this gun, I think, transfers so well with the recoil that even though it's a 45 ACP, you really don't have a lot of recoil being felt in the hand. As a matter of fact, shooting it downrange, this gun was as comfortable as any other 9mm that I've ever shot. Now, of course, the recoil was manageable. There wasn't a tremendous amount of muzzle flip. Did I have to concentrate a little bit more on kind of squeezing the gun a little bit? Yeah, I did. Why? Because, again, you're getting a hotter round, a bigger round, and as a result, you get a little bit more of that muzzle flip. Now, again, there are a couple of things I really have to say are great about this gun, and personally, it is the way it felt in the hand. It's very comfortable. It just fits well in my sized hand. I mean, I have fairly large hands, but not huge hands. But at the same time, it was enough grip on this gun to really just be very comfortable to shoot. Now, if there was a downside to this gun, and it really is my fault, not necessarily the gun does have adjustable rear sights, so you can, adjust it for elevation and windage. And unfortunately, I didn't have a screwdriver, but I will tell you that I believe these rear sights were off only because I kept shooting to the left. It didn't matter where I sighted in that front sight. If I was going right down range, right into the middle of the target, it would shoot over here. I also felt it was shooting low, and so I actually had to adjust the muzzle a little bit in order to be able to get more center shots. Now, I'll tell you, it wasn't the greatest day of shooting for me, but again, it is a new platform, and it is something new, and 250 rounds isn't a lot to really get adjusted to that, in my opinion. Does it make me a terrible shooter? No, I think the targets were reasonably okay. Again, I'm not a marksman by any means, but if I can put some holes in your chest if I have to, then I'm all good with that. Overall, I think the Rock Island Armory is a fantastic gun for people who want some sort of entry-level type of 1911 that have a lot of good features with them without having to break the bank. With that, I would tell you that there were some things about the gun that I think were good. Trigger's fantastic, low recoil, fits nice in the hand, the grips are excellent. But there was one thing that really bothered me about the handgun, and it really boils down to the ambi safeties. And the reason why I say that is because after shooting, and I'll show you when we get to the table and we look at this a little bit more in detail, I wound up getting my hand chewed up and a blister where the actual ambi safety on this side was hitting my hand the whole time. So if I was going to change anything about this gun, it's definitely this ambi safety. It's got to go for right-handed shooters, especially with people who have, kind of meaty hands. It just didn't work well for me. So let's go to the table. Let's see what the gun looks like after 250 rounds, and I'll talk about some more of the stuff that I found when I was shooting it. So stay tuned. Hey guys, back to the table we go. So the 1911 overall for me wasn't necessarily the gun of choice in regards to just fantastic firearms to shoot. I enjoyed shooting it for the extent of the time I had it. Now for 250 rounds, I have to say the gun handled everything. There were only 5 misfeeds, and that came at the very tail end, and the gun, I have to say, got pretty darn hot. Now, the gun itself is a very nice gun. I mean, there's really not much I have to complain about. You know, the magazines worked well. The ammunition was great. There wasn't any hangups at all with the slide not locking back or the slide not going in the battery. So everything worked well. You know, the only complaint I really had, and really, I should say 2 complaints, but the first complaint I had was really self-made. And the reason being is because when I was shooting it, I just didn't get a good sight picture with this, because what was happening is when I was shooting it, I was shooting low, very low, as a matter of fact. Now, these are also adjustable for windage and elevation. Unfortunately, I didn't actually have a screwdriver to actually be able to fix that. So I actually had to adjust the shooting, turn the muzzle up a little bit. And also I was shooting to the left. So I actually had to aim more to the right in order to get I guess you could say a better grouping. And I would tell you my groupings weren't that great. But with that being said, I know you guys love that, I would tell you that for me, for the first time ever shooting a 1911, I was okay with the groups. I'm not going to complain about it. You know, it's a different platform. The grip angle is a little bit different. The hold is a little bit different for me, but it is not something that over time, I don't think I would be able to handle it. I think it's a very, very smooth shooting gun. The weight of the gun definitely compensates for the recoil. There's very minimal recoil to this little guy. Even though it's not a full-size 1911, it certainly didn't feel like it was unmanageable recoil, and to me, that was pretty awesome. The VZ grips on here, excellent grips, guys. They're fantastic. They give a good bite to the hand. Again, if I could change anything, I'd probably make these a little bit thinner because they just felt a little bit too bulky in the hand. The trigger, thumbs up on that as well. The trigger is fantastic. It's smooth. It's easy to shoot. I mean, this gun wanted to be raced the entire time I was shooting. You know, you can shoot to the reset, but it's such a crisp, it's such a clean and such a short reset that the gun it was begging to be shot fast. And I think that might also have been a problem with why my groupings weren't so great. The biggest complaint I have of this gun, if there was any complaint at all, it's definitely the ambidextrous safeties. The reason why I say that is on this side, it's fantastic. You know, the safety is very tactile. I absolutely love it. You know, I was actually, you know, had it in safe while I was on the shelf of the gun, or the target or the range, gun range. And as soon as I brought up, safety went off, no issues. The biggest problem I had was as I was shooting and I was absorbing the recoil in my hand, this part of the safety right here was actually digging into this part of the hand. As a matter of fact, it dug in there so much that I wound up getting a blister on there. And again, you know what? Is that necessarily the fault of the gun? In this case, guys, I would say it is. I don't think it had anything to do with where I was holding the gun or anything of that sort. But that to me would be the biggest problem I had with the gun. And it's probably a simple fix. I'm assuming you could probably drop the ambi safety and just put in one-sided safeties, which to me would make this gun an absolute if you're into a 1911. One of the other things I wanted to mention was that if, for example, you're kind of new to the market of 1911s like I am with this, I would also say that this is not a bad choice. You know, if you're not willing to go out there and spend a ton of money, these guns can be had at very affordable prices. You just have to shop around and look for the best price you can. There's a lot of opportunities out there. Trust me, I've been looking. Again, is it something that I am interested in? You know, to me, the 1911 has a very classic feel to it. It's got the heavy cartridge, the 45. It's just a wonderful cartridge to shoot. Ultimately, does this fit for me? And honestly, guys, it really doesn't. The 1911 for me, unfortunately, doesn't necessarily have a place on my hip. Now, if Rock Island said, hey, you know what, this review was really good, we really appreciate your help, why don't you keep it? I'd say absolutely I would keep it because I'd have a lot more fun shooting it, especially if I could get rid of this one-sided on the safety. Again, it's going to be up to you what you decide. The magazines are great. Everything worked really, really well on the gun. I'm trying to do that in the camera. And ultimately, guys, what I would tell you is that, again, if you're into the market right now for an affordable 1911, I don't see why you wouldn't shop around and look for something like this. It's small enough to conceal. It's not overwhelmingly heavy, guys. This is not something that's going to weigh you down. And in case you fall overboard on a boat, you're not going to sink to the bottom. But I think ultimately that's going to have to be your choice. For me, I like it. I don't know if I'm ready to commit to a 1911, but I would tell you I had a heck of a lot of fun shooting this. Overall, fantastic gun. Some little minor tweaks here and there were necessary, but other than that, I think this would be a great entry model for anybody who's looking. I hope you guys have a great night. Again, if I don't make another video before Christmas, which I don't know if I'm going to or not, but if I don't, I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas out there and Happy Holidays. I hope you stay safe and you're with your loved ones. And even if you don't have anybody with you or it is a tough time of the year, just try to remember the good times and try to remember why you're happy and what does make you happy. With that being said, I know you guys love that. I hope you guys stay safe. Have a great night. And as always, freedom is never free.